In a modest home in Long Beach, California, on March 19, 1945, Randy Steven Kraft entered the world. To his parents, he was their youngest, a bright and curious boy in a family of 4 children. Little did they know, this seemingly ordinary child would grow into one of the most methodical and prolific serial killers in American history. His story, a chilling journey from potential to depravity, would eventually leave a trail of terror stretching across California and beyond. Randy's childhood was, by most accounts, unremarkable. His father, a factory worker, and his mother, a homemaker, provided a stable home in post-World War II America. Known as a gifted student, Randy excelled academically and displayed a keen interest in politics and debate. By high school, he had gained a reputation as an ambitious young man, destined for success. In 1963, he graduated with honors and earned a scholarship to Claremont Men's College. Here he pursued economics and developed a keen intellect, appearing to be on a path toward a respectable career. But beneath the surface, something darker was stirring. Kraft began to explore his sexuality in secret, grappling with his identity in an era when homosexuality was stigmatized. These internal battles, along with a mounting tendency toward risky behavior, would set the scene for the kind of life that would spiral into chaos. A double life begins. Despite full academic qualifications, Kraft never succeeded in establishing and sustaining a professional career. Eventually, in 1967, he was able to graduate from college. Following a series of jobs that failed to meet his expectations, Kraft enlisted in the Air Force. Unfortunately, the period of service ended with a dishonorable discharge after he admitted that he was gay. Though liberating in one respect, the knowledge of his sexuality further isolated him. By the late 1960s, Kraft had become a settled Southern Californian, working first as a bartender and later as a computer programmer. A man of social grace and wit, he made many friends and acquaintances. But these appearances belied an ever-deepening interior darkness. It was during this era of his life that Kraft began to stalk his victims, embarking on a 10-year murder spree that resulted in at least 12 young men being brutally killed. Wayne Duquette's body, the purportedly first victim of Kraft, was recovered in 1971. Duquette, a bartender, had been drugged, strangled, and disposed of like garbage. Investigators initially reported his death to be due to an opioid overdose, but the growing number of similar cases over time revealed a disturbingly uniform pattern. Young men were disappearing, either as drifters, hitchhikers, or soldiers, and later found brutally tortured, mutilated, or dumped along the roadside. Kraft's methods were precise and brutal. He preyed on his victims by offering them narcotics, alcohol, or companionship. Once in his control, he sedated them with benzodiazepines like Valium or alcohol-based depressants. These patterns grew as bodies continued to surface across Southern California, their deaths untraceable to a single killer. A crucial piece of forensic evidence confiscated at Kraft's arrest would eventually link him to his crimes. A chilling checklist later known as the scorecard. This document contained over 60 entries, each written in a code that referenced his victims and the circumstances of their deaths. Phrases such as Maureen Carson or 2-in-1 Hitch hinted at the identity of his victims, though many remained unidentified. The list offered an unnerving glimpse into Kraft's psychosis as he meticulously recorded the details of his killing spree. Kraft's downfall came on May 14, 1983, during a routine traffic stop on the San Diego freeway. Officers pulled him over for erratic driving and immediately noticed something amiss. In the passenger seat lay a young man, dead from strangulation. A search of the vehicle uncovered evidence of his crimes. A blood-stained rug, prescription sedatives, and photographs of other victims. The arrest opened a Pandora's box for investigators. As they dug into Kraft's past, they connected him to a string of unsolved murders dating back over a decade. Evidence from his home and workplace painted a damning picture, solidifying his role as one of America's most prolific serial killers. Kraft's trial, beginning in 1988, was one of California's longest and most expensive. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence, including the scorecard, victim photos, and forensic ties to multiple murders. Witnesses testified to his manipulative charm and violent tendencies. In 1989, Kraft was convicted of 16 murders and sentenced to death. To this day, Kraft denies responsibility for the murders, showing no remorse. He remains on death row at San Quentin State Prison, where his appeals continue to stall justice for the families of his victims. While convicted of 16 murders, authorities believe he is responsible for at least 67, making him one of the deadliest serial killers in U.S. history. Kraft's life is a chilling study in contrasts. A bright, sociable young man with the potential for success, he descended into a world of unimaginable depravity. His story is a stark reminder of the darkness that can hide behind even the most ordinary facades. For the families of his victims, the wounds remain raw. The unanswered questions about how and why he killed haunt them to this day. Kraft's legacy is not just one of horror, but also of missed opportunities to stop him earlier. His crimes continue to cast a shadow over the history of criminal investigation, a cautionary tale for future generations.